family. This is my Fated Summon pick. I haven't made a decision yet on which hero that I want. I'm hoping to take this time to make a decision, and I probably won't be pulling for a while. I've basically used up whatever gems I had left over and most of my free tokens. So, what I want to do is at least save up tokens for a couple months and then do some larger pools. I really honestly don't need any heroes. I have a pretty tight roster. So, yeah, there's that. So, I'm going to go over the heroes. I know I'm a little bit late with this, but I wanted to wait until I had 100 heroes already summoned. Like I said, I'll make a decision at this point. So, we're going to go from the top row all the way down. And the first row is all season 4 heroes. And I have, I think, 4 out of 5 of them. So that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't choose any of them. So as you know, I have Elizabeth. And she's someone that I would pair up with Brimstone. The problem is that I found a hero that I prefer better. And then also her stats are outdated. She was one of the very first Fiend heroes. So she had her time to shine. I would like to get her costume, and that's something that I've had with the. I've always had her as one of the 5 that I would select for the. Oh, I'm trying to remember what it is. The visiting outfitter, but I've always found heroes that I would prioritize over her, so I wouldn't select her. I believe I have Kongala. He was very good when he came out. He could actually take out a few people, and he left stacks that you could never get rid of, and it would really be debilitating. And of course, in Rush Wars, he's very good. And being a fighter class, which is nice. Again, all the heroes in this column will suffer from having very outdated stats. Next, we have Rusa, which had a very interesting mechanic. I honestly think season 4 brought a lot of interesting mechanics, especially with their passives. I didn't even go over the passives, but that's okay. She basically hits a target at very fast speed. She goes into hiding, which it'll have a little I think it looks like I can't remember the tool. It's a tool. It's a digging tool, and it has a little icon that will show that she's in hiding, and anyone that has used their special skill will receive damage. It was an annoying little thing that she would do, but aside from that, I think the easiest way to kill a hero like this is just to dump tiles in them instead of using your special skill. Or you can put now, which I think there's a lot of heroes, to put buff blocking, and I think that would prevent her from hiding. Again, outdated stats, and also a hero I'm not really interested in having. And then we have Professor Leidenbrock. She was a very good healer when she came out, and especially with her passive, which gave her a 20% mana at the start of the battle, which essentially changed her speed for the very first charge. She cleansed first, which not a lot of heroes at that time did. And then she did boosted healing. And with this next bullet point, if you try to, let's see here, let me read it. All allies regenerate 600 boosted health over 4 turns, which nowadays is very little. Especially when they have boosted healing at average speed, like 1300? It's insane. Boosted health can exceed max HP. This season's not the first season to introduce boosted healing. I think it was season 3. But I think she was one that was really good with it. The effect duration resets that the target receives status elements. So if you try to if you try to put status elements on her, let's see, or any of them, they would just keep healing and healing and healing and healing. So the only way to really remove that is to dispel it. Again, outdated stats, and I believe I have her in her costume. And then we have Dr. Moreau. I have this hero, but I don't have his costume. And that's why I don't use him anymore because his stats are just too low. He's not a hero that I'd be interested in leveling, well, actually using again, unless of course I get his costume, and I'm not gonna put him into the visiting outfitter just for that. He was very interesting because in the very beginning, the blind, the inflicting minus accuracy was relegated mainly to the holy heroes, and he was the very first dark hero that inflicted the accuracy down, which made him very appealing, and of course he's a paladin class. So none from the first row, and I'm gonna say none from the second row either. And we have Nima, and I think I already have this character, and she's actually from another Empires and Puzzles game. I think it's called Puzzle Combat. Same character model, but she basically what makes her different from all the Fiend heroes is that I believe she bypasses. I think she bypasses taunt. Let me go look over and read. We have damage, basic when summoned. Okay, I think it's here. When summoned, the Fire Tiger Fiend's target cannot cast. Okay, no, that's okay. I guess they can't. They can't cast taunt, which obviously is an easy counter. You just don't bring a taunt hero. So, but she's probably better on offense. I like their passives, but again, I don't need any of these heroes because I basically have all of them, all five of these Hero of the Months. And then Liadria, Cleric, which is nice, and she summons these spring minions, and they basically are a very small form of healing. When summoned, the Spirit of Spring minion boosts 120 health for its owner at the end of each turn for as long as the owner has a Spirit of Spring minion. This effect can't be dispelled. What makes it good is, I think the best place to use heroes like this is what Minion Wars and like Bloody Battle. I mean, you won't get the healing, but at least you'll get that extra protection from the minions. A nice hero, but I wouldn't select that one. I already have Gladius, and I actually had him in the polls. I like the first bullet point. This special skill never misses its targets. Well, actually, it should say its target because it's only targets one hero. Deals a good amount of damage and again does a stacking. I like the passive that you resist special skill blocking. But again, I'm not going to select any of these heroes. We have Aviana, and she looks like she's what is that, a stewardess? Fighter class, which is an interesting choice. And she does 330% damage to target and nearby enemy, which is, I'm trying to remember the terminology for that. I think splash, there's another one, I just can't remember. But there's splash damage, which I believe is damage to one and basically half the damage to the nearby opponents. The target and nearby enemies are immune to new status effect buffs for 4 turns, which is a good amount of time for an average hero. And then we have the resist bleed, which I think they've been doing that a little bit more often, that ailment, so that's a nice one to have. And this character gains 5% mana when they receive a buff or a positive stack, which is pretty good. This is overall a good hero. I have others above it. And besides, I already have her. And I haven't leveled her up. I think this hero is probably the worst out of the bunch. Cleanses status elements from the caster in nearby allies. See, the problem with that at slow speed, you should do more than just yourself and your nearby allies. You should do that for everyone. For the next 5 turns, this character has a 55% chance to deal 16% damage to a random enemy after enemy caster special skill. If you forget about that bullet point, then it is devastating. You can easily either put not ailment blocking, a buff blocking, and then you can prevent him from even using that. And that's his main attraction. And at slow speed, you can have a really good chance to counter that. Or if he goes off, you can just dispel it. It might inflict damage to that character that dispels it, but at least he won't be a threat any longer. The caster and nearby allies reflect status, ailments, and negative stacks for 5 turns. That can also be dispelled. So if you take the right counter against this hero, he's not all that great. So none from the second row either. And like I said, I already have all of those. So from the first 2 rows, I have all of them except Rusula, if I'm not mistaken. So now I don't have any of them from this third row. So that's enticing. I don't have any from the fourth row either. So this is probably one of my first times looking over the characters. So we have Daemon, fighter class, which is good, and this stag family. Heroes become stronger when teamed with other unique heroes of the same family. 1 to 3 heroes, anywhere between 40 to 70% attack buff, which is pretty strong. So we have dispels buffs from the target at very fast speed, which is nice. Blocks talent skill activations for the target for 3 turns, which is a good amount of time, which the talent skills are from their different classes. And let's say if you have, we already know that the fighter classes revive, or the clerics, they resist any kind of effect that affects their mana, and you have your ranger class that bypasses defensive buff, stuff like that, they won't be activated, which is really good against fighter class, because especially if you don't want them to revive after you kill them, because you know how annoying that is, especially for, what is it, the season 1 heroes, the I think superior talents, where they also gain mana upon reviving. That kind of takes care of that. The target cannot cast any new status effects on enemies or allies for 3 turns, which is really good against Bernadette. I know I said her name wrong before. I would always say Bernadette, but I went and I looked at the spelling. So this is actually a nice choice. I don't think I have any. I don't know if my red roster really needs any. Actually, yeah, it could probably use an updated hero. So far, I like this one. And then we have Teddy, the Call of Hibernated average speed, deals 180% damage to all enemies, which is very low. All enemies fall asleep and receive plus 70% increased damage while sleeping. All allies regenerate 1200 HP over 4 turns. I always find it and I like the monk class. And then we have the bear family, which is all received defense status ailments will be replaced by a defense buff for 3 turns, anywhere between 40 to 70%. Which is pretty good. So one of the families is more of a offense hero, and I think this family is more defensive, which is interesting for bears. All right. So he's one of the very first, aside from a few heroes of the month that I can't even remember his name. I don't even care. But I think I have that hero, or I might have given him away. Who knows? So that's very low damage, and the sleep mechanic is cool now because it's used more often. The problem with this one is that the sleep can be the hero affected by sleep can be awoken from anything, whether it be a tile that is matched on them, or I believe a minion hit. If I'm not, actually, let's see what the question mark says. Oh, this excludes damage from minions, fiends, mega minions, and mega fiends. Okay, I guess they must have added that because I think when this hero came out, I don't remember them having mega fiends and mega minions. Not that I could think of. I think that was recently introduced. Well, I would say recent within the last, what, year and a half or so. So I always find it interesting when they have an attacking hero and a healing hero combined. It just seems like a weird synergy in one hero. I don't know if I'd choose this one. So let's go. Actually, no, I won't. Now, Quentin is really awesome. He he basically is a sniper that is sure to kill one hero even after he's killed off if he inflicts this particular. It sort of looks like a flower. Not a well, yeah, kind of. So Echoes of Pain, and look, he has no kind of passive here, which is also a downside. So Echoes of Pain at fast speed, which is always good, deals 420% damage to the target, which is not a lot, especially with his very, very, very outdated stats. He's in need of a costume. For 4 turns, the target receives 100% of all damage dealt to their allies. If he's followed by a hit all hero, he could potentially kill the target, which makes this a very good special skill. I think there's only one other hero, or maybe a few others that have that. I would choose him if his stats wasn't so low. Now, next we're gonna go to. Oh, I'm not gonna select him. Wolfgang fighter class, which is good. One of the original ones when this I can't. What is this called? Clash. I can't even remember. There are so many things going on with this game. So, Commander's Gauntlet deals 250% damage to all enemies. The caster reduces all received damage by minus 50% 4 turns, and boosted health for everyone, which is actually, I know it's kind of a contradiction because Teddy does the same thing. But I felt that this was fitting because you can also use him as a hitter and a healer. I don't know. Well, then again, Teddy came out way after him. Fighter class, which is nice, and he actually has a costume. I still wouldn't choose him because I have way better holy heroes in my roster. And now this one is Cecilia, Ranger class, which you know I love Ranger class. Stats are a little bit better than the other ones. She's at fast speed, deals 240% damage to all enemies, which is fair for fast speed, and she has a passive health recovery on buff received. This character receives 5% health when they receive a buff or a positive stack. One of the heroes of the month had that. And then this is a stag, right? Stag family. Heroes become stronger when teamed with other unique heroes of the same family. Between 1 to 3 heroes, they have a bonus of anywhere between 40 to 70%. All receive stack. Sorry. All receive attack status elements will be replaced by a 40 to 70% attack buff for 3 turns. It's interesting because we have the bears, which they are more defensive, and they're the predators, and we have stags, which are the prey, and they're more offensive. Well, offense, as in you know what I mean. I kind of like this hero, so she's definitely probably a pick for me. I don't have any dodge heroes, and I've always wanted one. I've chased after costume. What was her name? Catalan for a long time. Never was able to get her, and this is an opportunity for me to have one and at fast speed. This is nice. Okay, so from the third row, it would probably be Damon or Cecilia. Now let's go here to the fourth row, Iran. And I was never really fond of the owls. I never really chased after them. So we have Song of Hoot and Holler at fast speed. Attacks the target with Moonrise Strike, dealing up to 2180 damage. Deals 40% more damage if the target is of the holy element. And that's a common theme with all of these owls. the extra damage to holy heroes. This special skill never misses its target. And whenever it says that, it means that they're not affected by, which makes them resistant to accuracy down, basically. The target automatically casts shifting mindless attack. And I love that, by the way. You can see I love using Medea. And I like, gosh, the duck. What's his name? Not Squawks. I'm going to go look it up because I want to be accurate. And I chased that. He's a 4-star I chased after a long time. Waddles. Yeah, see, shifting mindless attack. Chased after Waddles for such a long time, and I don't even remember when I got him. I finally did, though, and I leveled him up with the quickness. I got to stop talking. My throat's starting to hurt. All right, so the shifting mindless attack on a random ally when mana is full at the start of a turn during 4 turns. When this effect is triggered, it shifts to the hit ally and the duration is reset. All enemies get a minus 35% defense for 4 turns. This is pretty cool at fast speed. And let me compare it to Medea because I think she's only 3 turns. I have her on my defense team. Let's see here. 3 turns. Okay. All right. So far, this one is a good choice. And let's see what the passive is. Reduces the amount of mana increased by special skills, passive skills, value bonus, and status effects by minus 80%. That is pretty good. This effect applies to all enemies in the battle. And then we have the Owl family, which you can see right here. All received mana status ailments will be replaced by anywhere between 11% and 39% mana generation buff for 3 turns. Okay, I like that. So far from the second row, I like that one. We have Relius. I know, I was supposed to go through this quickly, but I just couldn't help it. Mixed green herbs at average speed recovers 30% health for all allies, which is a low healing recovery. Typically, and it goes with typically, I think the original setting was 42% for average heroes. I think in general healing was at 42% for all allies with legendary heroes, and I think for 4 stars, I think it was 40%, and then 3 stars it was 35%. That was like pretty much the baseline. Now it's fluctuated so much, and boosting healing it's gone all over the place. So each defeated ally has a 40% chance to get revived with 30% HP. It's so interesting that most of the revival heroes are in nature. All allies get a Moonrise Ward for 4 turns that reduces incoming special skills damage by up to minus 800 points. Reduces damage by additional 30% when the attacker is of the holy element. Another one that I like, but I'm not really interested in getting another revival hero. I have Mother North, and I really don't even use her that much, and I probably won't use her if I were to get this one. So now we're going into Magic Tower, which, by the way, his little scry thing, when his special makes a noise, it's so grating, and I can't imagine using him. So that already disqualified him. I don't know if you've seen this guy in play, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, the chalk. Exactly, like nails on a chalkboard. I can't. I can't. I can't. All right. For the first mana charge, and I was never really a fan of these mana charge heroes. Summons an enchanted seagull minion for each ally with 15% HP and 20% attack inherited from the caster, which is kind of low. Then we have the fiends. So basically, the first charge is minions. The second charge is fiends. Which, what's her name? The yellow schoolgirl that they're sex appealing. Oh, Anastasia. Yeah. She's from the Magic Tower, and she pretty much does the same thing. Her dress is way too short for a student. I'm very appalled. Okay, so I won't be selecting him, so I'm not really going to go over him anymore. And then we have, and by the way, I wasn't really fond of these Magic Tower heroes anyway, so they're not going to be my choice. Just heads up. So we have another Druid, which I do like the Druid class, and their special skill looks so ridiculous. We have the first mana charge deals 175% damage to all enemies. Dispels status effects buff that affect defense from all enemies, which is very conditional. I don't like that. All enemies are immune to new status effect buffs that affect defense for 3 turns. Again, that's very conditional. All allies bypass offensive buffs with their attack for 5 turns, which is a second charge. All allies reduce all received damage by minus 45% for 5 turns, which is a good amount of turns. Basically, the first charge is at fast speed, and the second charge is at slow. So all allies counteract with 115% of the damage received for 5 turns, which is pretty good. But chances are you won't be using the second charges with these charge heroes. Most likely you'll be using the first. So I don't want any of the charge heroes. And this was a later addition, Jet. I think Jet and Willow were later additions to the Magic Tower. So I didn't even go over their passives, but I'm not interested in the hero anyway. So deals 290% damage to target. The target receives 588 poison damage over 3 turns, which is low. The caster absorbs 100% of dealt poison damage as health. So does that mean they would only be healing 588%, 588 health? I think so, huh? Yeah. So with 3 turns, what is that? Let me do the math right now real quick. So that's 1, and then that's 9, 20. That's, wow. I don't normally do math this slow. So basically, that's under 200. I just rounded it off. I'm good at math, but I just rounded it off. Okay, so oh yeah, back to my point. Actually, that's 196. There, I did it. So that's receiving 196 health per turn. So deals 300% damage to all enemies, which is obviously much better, but you basically are charging at slow speed to get there. Not really worth it. All right, so none from the first row, none from the second row. It'd either be Daemon or, Daemon, Cecilia, or Aaron. So I have to figure out which one I want. Gonna look over this again. So this is a single target. This is so tempting. Shifting mindless attack. And then we have the dodge hero. They're all good. They're all really good. And they're all at fast or very fast speed. I don't know which one I want. I have a lot of good dark heroes. You know what? I'm just going to go with this one. Okay. All right, family. Now I can post on my other videos. So I really appreciate you watching, and let me know what you guys, who you guys chose from there. All right. Thanks for watching, and you guys have a great weekend. Peace out, and I mean it. Bye.